John's Gospel, the words of Jesus, the 10th chapter. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he's a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, says Jesus. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice. And there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. The Word of God. People of God.
Thanks be to God.
Wise men and sages, scholars, philosophers, and theologians from every culture and religion have throughout the ages spent lifetimes trying to find the right words, formulate the right theories, unearth the right discoveries to once and for all give us a picture of God. Who is God? Is the universal question of the ages. What does God look like? From the book Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul comes a poem which answers the question. It's entitled A Child's Vision by Sherwin Kaufman. My child took a crayon in her little hand and started to draw as if by command. I looked on with pleasure, but couldn't foresee what the few simple lines were going to be. What are you drawing? I asked by and by. I'm making a picture of God in the sky. But nobody knows what God looks like, I sighed. They will when I'm finished, she calmly replied. Jesus came to us with an express mission of answering that question, what does God look like? In our scripture this morning, Jesus gives us an image, a snapshot, we might say, of who God is by showing us who he is. Jesus says to his followers then and to us today, I am the good shepherd. The songwriter Michael Card writes about the image of the shepherd. He says, in Britain, you still see them sometimes. They work alone or sometimes in pairs, always with a team of border collies nipping at the heels of their frightened and confused sheep. They are sheep herders, shepherds. They are patient men, or maybe women. You must be patient to work with sheep. Sheep are very dim, say the British. When the Bible refers to us as sheep, it is no compliment, for they are not the brightest of God's creatures. The Sunday school picture of the shepherd leaning over the precipice to save a sheep with his crook is accurate, for a sheep will literally follow its own nose off a cliff. Before sheep need food and water, sheep need a shepherd. And we, the Bible tells us, are just like that. God knows we need a shepherd. So God came to us through his Son as the good shepherd to care for us and to feed us and to water us and to give us protection. In describing himself as the good shepherd, Jesus implies there also are bad shepherds. Jesus referred to them as hired hands who have no investment in the sheep. When trouble comes, they run away. This would be bad enough, but the bad shepherds also sometimes kill the sheep. They care more about feeding themselves than feeding and caring for the sheep, cowardly and greedy. In contrast, the good shepherd, as Jesus describes himself, has two qualities. First of all, he knows his sheep. He calls each one by name. We live today in the strengthening and comforting awareness that God knows our name. The second trait of the Good Shepherd is he is willing to lay down his life for the sheep. No greater love has anyone than this, to lay down one's life for another. The picture we have is of a God who comes as a Savior, willing to suffer and die in our place. It is the picture we have seen so many times in a mother's love. Joseph Rosenbaum was a young man of 19 when he was taken to a concentration camp with a large group of other Jews. He writes of that experience, "It was clear that we were destined to die. Suddenly, my mother stepped in and traded places with me. And although it was more than 50 years ago, I will never forget her last words to me and her goodbye look. I have lived long enough. You have to survive because you are young," she said. Joseph Rosenbaum concludes, "Most kids are born only once. I was given birth twice by the same mother. I have heard the same words from some of you who, when children suffer, you wish you could take their place." That is what God looks like. In a world dominated by power, Jesus did something extraordinary. He brought us a picture of a God who's tender and nurturing, kind and gentle, affectionate and protective. A rather motherly kind of God in one way. Jesus promotes values and characteristics among his followers, men and women, just like that. Instead of the hard-nosed retaliatory ethics of the patriarchs, the old eye for an eye, a life for a life stuff, Jesus talks about turning the other cheek, about praying for our enemies, about refusing to play the games of war and violence. Jesus calls the meek and the peacemakers blessed. He names the fruits of the Spirit as gentleness, kindness, self-control. Jesus said, "This is what God looks like." Yes, God is the gentle good shepherd we see in the face of Jesus. God also looks like the host who welcomes all to his table. Today we have the very privilege once more of coming to the Lord's table. And when we come here, we come with all of our baggage, don't we? We come just as we are. He has never said to those he welcomes at his table, "Okay, clean your act up, then come see me. Come sit at my table." No. He says, "Come to me as you are. And through what I have to offer you, become all that God ever wanted you to be." And so today, we have privilege to come to his table. Let us pray. Oh God, as we come to now partake of that which reminds us of the great sacrifice you made for us through Jesus' death upon the cross and through his glorious resurrection from the grave, through his broken body and his shed blood, we have mysteriously and miraculously been given life, full, free, and abundant, everlasting. For that gift, we can only fall to our knees and say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the name of Jesus we pray this prayer. And the prayer he taught us as we say together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power,